Yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I'll pop up.
Hey team, this is Nathan from RunDreamAchieve.com. Today's question comes from Steven Diaz. He asked how to warm up for a 5K, and his exact question was, what would you suggest as a warm-up prior to a 5K race? Couldn't find a video on your channel touching on this topic. I know there's a lot of advice on YouTube, but would like your insight. Love the channel. Please keep the content coming. Steven, definitely appreciate the question. Appreciate you and your support, and for all the athletes that are coming to the Run Dream Achieve YouTube channel. Appreciate all of you. Definitely fires me up to hear from you all and how you all are progressing. And so this question, how I would personally warm up for the 5K, definitely, I don't think volume the morning of the race is critical. So, you know, I wouldn't go any further than 1 mile, just a 1 mile warm up and doing some light strides before the race. I think the things that matter most as you go into a 5K race, especially if it's a peak race where it's really you're focused on running a very fast time, you want to do a proper taper. So 10 days out from your main race, I think is key, rather than starting to drop your volume and intensity 3 weeks out from your race. I think a lot of athletes start dropping volume and intensity too far out from their main race, and they go into their race feeling more tired than energized and rested. So I think it's the things in terms of warming up for 5K, making sure that obviously you get to your race location with plenty of time to spare. Don't be in a rush. But in terms of warming up, just doing some light strides. I mean, the strides don't have to be that long, 50 to 80 meters in length. Just doing 3 to 4 strides, 50 to 80 meters long prior to the start of the 5K, just to, again, get your heart rate revved up, get your legs reminded of what you're training them to do and getting them prepared to do for the race, and really not really warming up too much further than a mile or two before the race. I think that's, it's just a simple answer, but it's again, simplifying the process and is sometimes a very difficult thing for a lot of middle to long distance athletes to do. I know earlier in my career, I would focus so heavily on things that really didn't matter as much, focusing far too much on what the other runners were, my competition, what types of times they had, and what type of pace they were going to go out at. I think the key thing to be successful as you warm up for your 5K is just to stay as relaxed as you possibly can. Take confidence in the training that you've done leading up to your goal 5K race. Preferably, hopefully you've trained at least 8 weeks, preferably 12 to 16 weeks for your goal 5K race. And I think just not focusing so much on things that are outside of your control. If the weather's bad, the other athletes around you are going to have to compete in it as well. So being as relaxed as you can, be as confident as you possibly can, disregard what types of times these athletes have. Focus on your race, focus on your effort, and disregard anything else that's going to take you away from achieving what you want to do in this race. Obviously, prior to a 5K race, I would always focus on just rehearsing. A few more times in my mind before the race start. I would focus on seeing myself racing and performing, at the level that I've trained myself to do. Again, I think it's very important to rehearse and mentally prepare for what you want to do in this race. So I would spend, a few minutes, the leading up to that 5K race pace as a part of my warm-up, as part of my mental warm-up, is to see myself performing at a very high level, seeing myself getting across the finish line in my goal 5K race pace time, or in my goal 5K time, and just staying calm and cool and collected leading up to the race. Again, I don't think running really any further than 2 miles for before the 5K is anything more than 2 miles really is not needed, because again, you've done all the work to this point. Get yourself, do a 1 to 2 mile warm up before the 5K race, nice and relaxed. Do a few strides, light stretching, making sure that you're muscles and tendons are warmed up, but again, just light stretches, and so that you don't go into that race, you don't just jump into the race without at least doing some form of light stretching. And then definitely after the race, make sure that you hydrate well, get something in you at least 30 minutes after that 5K race. It might be some fruit, might be a Cliff Bar, might be a Power Bar. Make sure that you get some protein and replace the electrolytes that you lost in that race, especially if it's a hotter race. If you're training, you're preparing for your 5K and it's going to be held on a hot and humid day, you are going to have to adjust pace somewhat. Don't be disappointed if you don't hit the pace that you wanted in your 5K, especially in those types of conditions, because it's a lot, as you all know, it's a lot different trying to race a 5K in 30 to 50 degree weather as opposed to running in 70 to 90 degree weather, especially if you're not a hot weather runner such as myself. Anything really over 60 degrees, I really was not one of those athletes that liked competing in those types of temps. I was always more of a cold weather runner. 30s to 50s is really my sweet spot, but I've run 5Ks, I've run 10Ks, marathons even in 70 to 80 degree weather. It wasn't a pleasant experience, but just be mindful of that too. But I do think in terms of your warm up, doing strides, doing light stretches where you're focusing more on just stretching your hamstrings, stretching your quads, being as loose as you possibly can, but also being as relaxed as you can prior to and during your race, because you're going to see a lot of athletes around you that are far too tense, that are far too nervous. And again, at the end of the day, you've done all the work preparing for your races. Take confidence in your preparation and have that as your secret weapon leading into that 5K prior to the start of your race. Because there's going to be a lot of athletes that are around you that, again, like I said, are far too stiff, far too nervous. And it's okay to be a little nervous before your 5K, but again, take confidence in what you've done. The hard training is the training itself should be the hardest part of your preparation. The morning of the race should be the celebration of your hard training. It's not that and I had to learn this. It took me a long time. It took me several years to get to a point where I was just totally relaxed the morning of the race. The morning of when I ran 2:19 for the marathon, or when I ran 1:07:06 in Philadelphia for the half marathon, I was relaxed. I was joking around on the start line, because again, at that point, you've done everything you possibly can do. So that's really key as you lead up to your warm-up for your 5K, is to, again, remind yourself of what you've done, be confident in yourself, be confident in your preparation and what those hard anaerobic workouts you've done, those tempo runs, those long runs you've put in, and have that as your secret weapon, because let the others around you be stiff and tired and fatigued and stressed out. Be relaxed, smile, get in the group, once you're in the race, find your race, or you run your race, but don't go out too aggressively in the 5K itself, because again, if you go out too anaerobic and you go into oxygen debt too early in that race, you're going to be suffering in those last 2 miles and you're going to fall off your goal race pace. Again, it's much smarter to go out a little bit more conservative and then really attack. And once you get to the first mile, I would not make a move in the 5K until you hit the first mile. Make it a 2.1 mile race rather than a 3.1 mile race. So that is very, very important that you first, have a strategy, have your plan in place prior to the start of the race. Run your race. If they take off, the leaders of the race take off far too aggressive and far faster than what you have planned in terms of your race pace, then hold back and then catch them in the last mile to 2 miles of that race, especially in that last mile of the race when they're really going to be struggling mentally and physically because they went out far too fast. So I hope this video is helpful for you, Stephen, in regards to your question of how to warm up for a 5K. Again, I think running no further than 2 miles prior to the race is key, is what I would be doing. It's what I've done in the past too. I always did a few strides before the race just to accelerate, focus on, my my form and staying as relaxed as I possibly could. Mental rehearsal was always a key factor in how I prepared for my races. Prior to, months, days, and the morning of the race, I would always spend some time just laying down on the ground, maybe in the grass, somewhere, or if you're in a building, just laying down on the floor, just relaxing and seeing yourself for a few minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, with your eyes closed, seeing yourself getting across the finish line in your goal race, in your goal pace time, and seeing yourself performing at the type of level that you are focused on running at. That is very important. Make sure that you're putting mental preparation in your race kit as you lead into your big races. Don't just train physically. You have to train mentally and physically to become a great middle to long distance runner. So I hope this makes sense. If you have any other questions, leave me a comment below in the comment section. Like this video. I really appreciate it. To all of you who like and share my videos, it helps the channel grow. Obviously, if you're not new to the channel, or if you're a current viewer, hit that bell icon and the subscribe button so when I make a new video, you'll be notified of it. And check out the resources below all of my videos. I'll leave links below in the description as well as in the pinned comment as well for you. So wish you all the best, and I will talk to you in the next video.